Howdy, y'all. Welcome to the Tesla Live. We've got a show you can hang your hat on today. Because, have you heard? There's about to be a rodeo in Austin. And it just ain't any old rodeo. It's a cyber rodeo.
The cyber.
Yes. Hello, everybody. And welcome to the Tesla Life. Show number 2 to the 8th minus 8. You might have been told there was no math today. You're wrong. So you might have noticed that I'm not your usual host, Mark Coughlin. Mark is in Austin, I assume enjoying some good Texas barbecue and trying to get a ticket to the big event tomorrow. So if we're lucky, Mark will pop in for a minute and tell us what he's up to. Until then, let's on with the show. So this is a special episode, a very special episode. It's our 5th year anniversary.
Yeah.
So the 5th year anniversary gift is wood. I'm sure there's some joke in there. So would you click the like button for us? That'd be a great gift. It'll help others find our little community. So let me introduce our panel. Today we have Mr. Kacey Green, Tesla owner, YouTuber, and super duper supercharger reviewer.
That's
What you
me,
doing, Kacey?
Oh, just rearranging the office. It's not done yet, so it's going to look different again on the next show. But that's all right. I got a chance to interview a brand new Rivian owner, and I popped that up on the channel. Yeah, and then my camera. I told you guys that my car was going back into service, so my camera's coax cable on the driver's pillar camera was crushed from the factory.
Oh.
And they finally agreed that that the car's complaining and my complaining and the software just quitting was not all in our heads. And they replaced the coax cable, but to do that, you got to take the whole interior of the car out, and I can see why they didn't want to do it, but they're like, yeah, you're out of warranty. You're way out of warranty. I'm like, yeah, but if you look back on day 2, we've been complaining about this for 4 years. And the guy's like, yeah, but this is your last free service. Don't expect any more free service from us unless it's a warranty recall.
Recall, yeah.
I was like, okay. I wasn't asking for anything other than this. I wasn't asking for anything else free. I mean, I'm over 20,000 miles out of warranty. Yeah.
Well, cool.
Yeah.
And so I am your other host for today, and Patrick, and I blog at carswithcords.net. And we're going to do things a little different today. Kacey and I are just going to ping pong back and forth and talk to Mark when he's available. And is he in the waiting room, Kacey?
I don't know. Did you hear a ring? oh, yeah. I heard a ring too. Look at that.
Okay, cool.
Hello, Mark.
Hey, Mark. Welcome to your show.
Right.
How are things in Austin?
He's muted himself.
Yeah, we can't hear you. No volume. Oh, I guess they don't have internet in Austin. He's not on a Starlink.
He's not on a Starlink. Oh, speaking of Starlink, mine is on the way.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah. I don't know.
That is very cool.
If I'll keep it because they raise the price monthly and the price of the unit. So we'll see if it fits in the budget. But this dead spider behind me here has got capability of running 2 ISPs at once. So
that's a cool feature.
Yeah.
That'd give you a lot of bandwidth.
Exactly. You can do round robin, failover, mix and match.
Very cool.
So we'll try it all.
That's a complicated problem. You have out of order issues and other things, and yeah, that's pretty cool. Yeah. Has Mark come back yet? He's still. All right. So, you want to go first, Kacey? Or you want me to go first?
Oh, I loaded all your stories at the top.
Oh no! All right. Okay, so I'll go first.
All right.
And the one I wanted to talk about is Tesla official sales data shows that Tesla is outselling the Toyota Camry down under. So this is far in 2022. This story comes to us from thedriven.io. And this is according to VFAX data, which I'd never heard of. But the Federal Chamber of Automotive Industries, for the first time, has shown these results of Tesla outselling both the car that's closest to them in their segment, which is the BMW 3 Series, by 6 to 1. So
Whoa!
outselling the 3 Series by a factor of 6. And they're outselling the Camry. So this is what we've been waiting for, right? The time
Yes.
when EVs go from just being a niche to being the mainstream vehicle. And for all the reasons that we know and love being part of the Tesla community, they're fast, they're fun, they're cheap to fuel, energy sovereignty, whatever your reason for coming to
And,
this
and
party. It's a
flexibility
big
of energy sovereignty. Like,
yeah,
yeah.
exactly. Yeah. So if you want to power it by solar or wind or even coal or natural gas, I'm not sure why you'd want to do that
Or you want to
because we
throw
should
a
be moving beyond fossil fuels.
yes, or you throw a turbine out in your local stream.
Right. Yes. Hydro is another great way. Yep.
Or you're
Lots and
cooking on
lots
your
of options to
campfire.
make electricity. Unlike fossil fuel, if you're running a gas car, that it runs on gas. I mean, there's not a lot of alternatives. I guess there's some biofuel options, but if you look into that, it's really not scalable. The amount of land that would be required to replace the fuel system that we have today for we would need like 3 more Earths, and that's just not an option.
Not yet.
Right? Yes. Yeah. Mark Watney did grow some stuff on Mars, right? No, fiction. Okay.
Indeed.
Yeah. So that was just something cool I wanted to share, and
6X.
yeah, yeah,
Glad to hear it.
yeah. And it's when we saw way back in 2017 or whenever the Model 3 event was. Hey, there's Mark. I can hear you now. Hey, Mark.
We can hear
Hello,
your
how you
TV.
doing?
How are you doing?
Well, I've had to move around within the hotel
Get a good signal.
because Wi-Fi isn't the greatest in the room, so I'm down in the lobby.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
So it's going to be a little bit loud.
That's all right. We have a joke called it Wi-Fi.
But yeah. So interesting thing happened when my plan was to be in Austin today.
Yeah.
I, of course, was trying to get a ticket to either the real event or the Tesla Con event. The real event, I wasn't able to get a ticket. So I went online and ordered the Tesla Con ticket.
Mm-hmm.
And it said everything was good. And then I never got the ticket response to my email.
Oh.
So, I thought, well, maybe it just backed up, and I waited a little while, and I checked on it a few hours later, and all of a sudden the website showed there were no more tickets available.
Oh.
So I went back to my order form to see if I could see it, and I noticed my credit card had not been charged for the money. And it turned out that I had submitted the order in the middle of it running out of tickets.
Oh,
no!
You just missed it. Moments
So
too
I
late.
just missed it by seconds.
Did they
And
take
they wouldn't give me another ticket. They said, of course, I could, if I wished, I could go there and hope that they had another bank of tickets they released just before the event, which is happening on the 8th.
Yeah.
But as I was doing this with a vacation with my wife as well, so
Yeah.
I thought, you know what? There's probably not a good idea to hinge it all on possibly getting a ticket or tickets and then getting nothing and then being stuck outside looking through the glass. So I decided that I would forego that and our vacation would happen as normal. So tonight I sit in Nashville speaking with you.
That's a little ways off from Texas.
Yeah.
It's about a day's away. Yeah.
Yes. So we got a couple of of good comments on that. Hockey Day said be a speaker. JT said dang, and Mark and David said Mark.
Yes.
Man, if the Tesla Life can't get tickets, what is the world coming to?
That's right. Yeah, that would have been your in. You should have been
said,
on the
David.
speaker
Yeah.
list. Then you get in for sure.
So disappointment. I've been watching from afar through the social medias, and it looks like people are having a blast. I saw today that the Cybertruck had shown up. There's been photos of it testing, driving around the Texas factory.
That's true.
And that was kind of interesting to see. We've had people, of course, a number of the different YouTubers are there, personalities, and they're getting together for different events here and there. And it certainly looks like it's a bit of a party. So I'm disappointed I can't be there, but circumstances are what they are. So you just got to roll with the changes.
Yep.
And there's Kacey with the buckle. Yes, yes. And of course, that was another story. A Model S, I don't know if you guys saw this photo, but a Model S was spotted in the parking lot that had that buckle embedded in its trunk lid.
Whoa.
Huh.
So people were
Like where the
checking
T logo
that out with the photos where the T logo is. Exactly. Replaced with the buckle, embedded actually in the trunk lid flush.
They must have shaved it down pretty good to get that.
I would think there was a lot of work required. Absolutely. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Yeah, there were a couple
So,
of big
and-
names that didn't get in. I was surprised the amount of people who couldn't get into both the Tesla
Yeah,
and the Tesla.
In fact, I even heard that for the rodeo event that Tesla sent out a lot of asking for RSVPs a second time from people that had already RSVP'd the event. So it seemed like there was a whole batch of people that were being asked to re-RSVP after they had already done and got accepted. So they seem to be having some ticketing issues themselves.
Wow. You'd think that this is the first time they've done this. They have a party for everything, and they just got done doing this in Berlin
You would
weeks
think.
ago.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I wonder if they're restricting the number of people that can attend, just so that that doesn't become a super spreader event.
That would be nice.
Yeah, yeah.
The not being a super spreader event, not it'd be nice to
Right.
be super. Yes.
Yeah, so it's certainly interesting what's going on. Another bit of news, of course, that we received just over the past 2 days is that Elon has purchased a huge amount of shares, almost 10% in Twitter. And the
Yep.
tweets that he had said previously about, is there a new social network required? It seems that he had something in mind all along, and
January.
he spent billions to get those shares. And also, shortly after his purchase, Twitter admitted him to the board of directors for Twitter. So
Yes,
on the
looks
condition
like,
that he don't
he's,
try to buy more.
Right. He couldn't go over 15%. Because then it could become a hostile
So
takeover.
that
surprised
is
he didn't just
very
do a hostile
interesting, and of
takeover.
course the memes that have come from that are quite amusing, showing Twitter's first board meeting with Elon in place, and there's a picture of all these guys in business suits, and there's that Mario character that
Wario.
he was on Saturday Night Live sitting, Wario sitting there. So that was hilarious.
Yeah, and then it got even more interesting than that is Miss Wu. She had either interacted with or touched a tweet that had some wrong numbers about Elon and how much money he has and how much he was spent on Twitter versus free school or whatever, and there was a fact check underneath it, very much as if when our previous president would put falsehoods out there. And it would fact check him in the middle of his tweet. It was fact checking the tweet, and she's like, "This doesn't look good. This guy just bought in, and it's supposedly a new feature. And if it's applied evenly, it looks like it'll be pretty cool. But it was kind of interesting that the same person who was complaining about whether or not Starlink in Ukraine was real, all of a sudden got a fact check box on her screen.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is going to backfire on him, I think.
Oh, yes.
Because
Spectacularly.
anytime something like this happens, there's going to be this question about, was he able to influence this to get his way because he's the largest shareholder?
Yeah.
And I don't know. He made another comment saying he's a free speech absolutist. Well, if you're an absolutist on anything, then you are not being rational about it. There
Right.
should be some limits to
You
speech.
can't yell
And
fire in a crowded theater.
exactly, there's a perfectly good uh, uh, yeah. So that just makes you a fanatic. And we've also seen that he doesn't take criticism well. Which, if you were a
Very
free
well.
speech absolutist, you would say like, "Oh, I'm glad you have your opinion and you get to share it here." And then you might say, "I disagree with it, and you're wrong." But yeah, an absolutist doesn't attack somebody for sharing an opinion.
And
Anyway,
there's also the
yeah,
matter that free speech only applies between your government and you, not you
yes,
and other people or businesses.
right, yes, yeah. Twitter has a platform that they can do with what they want as a private business. The First Amendment does not apply to them. Uh, yeah. Anyway, it'll be interesting to see how it plays out. Even though I think he should focus on other things,
Yes.
but that's just my opinion, and
There was
he can do
speculation
what he
that
wants with his
he
money.
exposed himself to market manipulation by buying it after talking all the like. Remember, he did the poll and said a bunch of bad stuff about Twitter, and then all of a sudden we find out he's buying in. I think that he may be a little bit more insulated from it than suggested, because this was going back through January, and all those polls and stuff were in March. So I don't know.
Right.
I'm not a lawyer.
Yeah. Yeah. So you only have to disclose if you own 5%, more than 5% of something. And so, I
Right.
mean, if he started buying in January, he could have bought 2% or 4%, and then only after the poll bumped it up to this level where he could get a board seat. And and that's kind of what he did with the earlier question where he put out the poll about should he sell Tesla stock. Well, he was required to sell some of it, and he had been selling what he was required to, and then he sold more than that based on the
Yeah.
poll. So it could have
Oh,
been the
heck of a
same
lot
thing here
more.
with Twitter, right? Yeah, like
Yeah.
I'm going to buy some, I'm going to try to influence it the way that I think it needs to go, but should I buy more was based on the poll results.
So I've got a story about this one's coming from Drive Tesla Canada. It says that CATL is getting close. CATL is getting closer to opening up its EV battery plant in Germany. What else is in Germany that just opened up that might use some CATL batteries? Well, how about the standard range Model Y, right? So speculation for me is that CATL is opening up so they can be close to one of their larger customers and be ready to supply Tesla with some lithium iron phosphate batteries to go into the vehicles there, structural pack or not. What do
Yeah,
y'all think about that?
that makes perfect sense to me. Tesla is a huge customer of theirs. Tesla has a new factory. They should build something right next, as close as they can get, so that shipping costs are low.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it seems like they're getting through the red tape a lot faster than Tesla did. So they announced that they have received their second partial approval for battery production in I'm going to butcher this pronunciation, Arnstadt, Thuringia in Germany.
Cool. Yeah, and we know Germany can have a lot of
It's
red
kind of
tape.
interesting. Kind of interesting also that here, in Texas, where they're about to open it tomorrow, it seems like we haven't really got the final discussion about what variant of the Model Y is going to be released. We still really don't know.
The one tomorrow or the one in Germany?
The one tomorrow.
That's a very good question.
Yeah.
Probably a performance model. I mean, it's the Tesla way, right? Most profit.
Because of course you remember about the EPA rating that was released about another variant. I wonder if that is somehow mixed into what's happening tomorrow in Texas. I'm not sure.
Right.
I'm guessing.
It could be, because
it could be that the Model Y is going to be just the regular one with, of course, the 4680 battery pack. Maybe that's the only difference. But we're kind of waiting. Everyone's waiting to hear any information on that.
Yeah, because they were saying that they had the new one that came out, which was the dual motor standard range, and then they had the rear motor standard range, neither of which had a price because they weren't on sale. But they're both approved, so maybe they do come from Texas. And let's see, Hockey Day pointed out that The other German automakers need batteries, so they can't turn down good batteries, right? And and he says that Germany's Tesla doesn't look like it has structural battery. That is true. The first structural battery is coming out of Austin, the first
Right.
mass-produced one, anyway. I'm sure they've had a bunch of them all over the world because that's how Tesla runs. But the first mass-produced that's going to be going into a customer's hands is coming out of Texas. And I want die cast for the front, piece cast for the front.
Yeah, have they
One piece cast.
even sent the big presses that they need from Hydra to Germany yet to make this? So
I think so. They might have sent some of the rear casters over, but I don't think they sent the giga presses, just the regular mega presses.
right. So yeah, this is just one of many questions for what's going to happen at the Cyber Rodeo. Are we going to see Cybertruck updates? Which variant of Model Y? What else is hidden up their sleeve? Will there be Roadster updates? Lots of unanswered questions. Tomorrow should be a very exciting day. Lots of great news is going to be coming out of this event.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
It's going to be exciting. Just like Mark said, I wish it was a little bit smoother.
And of course, if you want to keep up with what's going on, of course, follow the Tesla Life on the Twitter feed as well as the Facebook feed, and you can see all throughout the weeks as stories break, we post them, so you can be first on the list to see what we find out.
when news breaks, we fix it.
That's right. Yeah, how can they point out they have 4 presses? I think those are still the mega press. I don't think they're the giga press yet. And Mark in Austin, Texas. Mark is in where in Tennessee, Mark?
Nashville.
Yes, they have got a couple of nice superchargers out that way.
Earlier this morning, I was in a place I've never heard of. I don't know if you guys have heard of it. Pigeon Forge.
There too. They've got
Tennessee.
a nice supercharger there too.
Ever heard of that?
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Mr. Supercharger Review has been there if they have a supercharger.
I was at that supercharger this morning, Kacey, and I had a conversation with 3 other people while we were all getting charged. One from Minnesota, another one from Illinois, and a third one from Florida.
Were they all going to Texas?
No.
Oh.
They were all just visiting Pigeon Forge.
All right.
They were there on vacation as I was. So it was interesting. We had a great talk, spread the Tesla news, and talked about different options. And they even had some questions that I was able to help a couple of them with. So
Awesome.
It was great meeting them and having a great conversation while we supercharged.
Classic
That was
Tesla
probably
time.
Probably the highest number of people that have ever been at that supercharger at once.
Maybe. Yes. All right, so we talked about Elon and Twitter, so I'm going to go ahead and close that article down. And and that one was saying that that Elon started buying in January, and that was the gist of the article. Tesla's hoping to restart production at Giga Shanghai on Friday, but new lockdowns might make that difficult. And it's the same thing we've learned every single time. We just throw the doors open and say, yes, we're getting back to normal, and everything's back, the virus is gone, and then it bites us hard. It starts cascading around the world. I don't know how we don't see this every time, but China's going through it again. We saw this last week before. We started talking about how Tesla had the employees living in the factory for 2 days at a time. And apparently that's not enough anymore. And I do wish them health and safety, but the reality is the virus doesn't care what we want. It only cares if we give it a vector. And we've given it plenty of vector.
Yeah, so
keep in mind, people.
Go ahead, Mark.
Keep in mind that you may be done with COVID, but COVID is not done with you. So be safe out there.
Exactly.
Well said.
Yes.
Yeah, so this is, 25, 30,000 cars that Tesla won't be able to produce. And, that's a shame, but it's better than people getting COVID and dying. So if this is what it takes to help make people safe, then a temporary shutdown is the right thing to do.
Yeah, and as we saw at the beginning of the month, 6 days ago, that didn't actually affect. Well, it did affect, but it didn't actually stop Tesla from setting new records both at that factory and worldwide.
Exactly.
How's that not one of our stories? Let me bring it up real quick.
Yeah. It was 310,000 vehicles in Q1.
Something like that. Here, I'm
Is that
pulling it up
the-
right now. Let's do a screen share. Screen share.
Welcome to a live show, everybody.
Right? Improv, baby.
Without Mark here to run the show, we don't know what we're doing.
So for the first quarter of 2022, SNX saw 14,724 deliveries, with 14,218 in production, and Model 3 and Model Y saw 295,324 sales, with 291,189 built. Mind you, the factory was shut down for a significant amount of time, and the other three factories are still having trouble filling the production queue because supply constraints.
Yeah, it's too bad they don't include year over year and quarter over quarter data in this, because the year over year has got to be really impressive.
Yes, I think
And
so.
this is not their highest quarter ever.
No, it's
which is surprising. But then again, if you look at all of the problems that have been happening with supply chains and COVID, it's not too surprising. But I mean, we kind of have gotten used to Tesla setting record quarters every quarter.
yes.
But still, if you look at this, so this number is still very impressive for how much growth they've had in the last year. Do the math out on 4 quarters, and they're at least at they're going to be over 1 million for sure. And we all have our guesses at what that'll be. At least 1.5 million is I think Mark, you're above that. So yeah, at least that much. That was our lowest bid in the Price is Right game that we play every year.
Right.
It'll be, yeah. So and Germany's online now, ramping up. Austin starting tomorrow, online and ramping up. It'll be interesting to see how much those contribute. Oh, there we go.
Yes.
Did you find year
So
over year?
I went to the kings of charts. Inside
Awesome.
EVs is always comparing these sort of things.
Yeah.
And so SNX is up over 100% at 14,218 versus 0, and and 3 and Y is up 61% to 291,000.
Right.
89.
Yeah, and that's Tesla's guided for at least 50% growth, and here they are crushing that. That's awesome.
Yes, that's incredible. And like here we can see year over year over year. Look at that.
Mm-hmm.
There's is this 22? This is 22 versus 21. They are crushing it. Oh my goodness. Look at this. Look at this. They are within spitting distance of Q4. 310,048 versus 308, 650.
Oh, this does look like it was a record quarter.
Like record, like most ever.
Yeah. I am happy to be wrong about
they
that.
squeaked it in.
Yes, yeah. I thought that this was just under their previous high.
Just over.
Uh-oh, we lost Mark. Bye, Mark.
The Wi-Fi got him again. We'll get him back.
Yeah. So yeah, that's awesome.
Absolutely.
This is going to be an incredible year for Tesla.
Definitely.
Yeah, having 2 new factories online, that's huge. Doubling the number of car factories they have.
Yeah. David says that China is very strict and they will probably shut them down with these measures. Yeah, probably so. But the good thing is that they're flexible and they actually listen to reason and bargain. And yeah, they might still say no, but at least they give them a chance to say, hey, will this work? Will this be something acceptable to you guys? And they say yes or no. Versus saying, hey, I'm going to cuss you on Twitter because I don't like what you said, even though the governor and sheriff already said this is okay. Or the sheriff actually was one of the ones against them, but you know what I mean.
Yes, yeah, that's one of the reasons Tesla's headquarters is now in Austin.
This is true.
Wow.
Absolutely. Welcome back, Mark. All right, so what was up next? We were talking about you had another story for us there, Patrick.
Oh yeah. All right. So I've got 2 stories here and one I'll roll together.
All right.
And it's about Tesla's vision system. So the first one is Tesla Vision. The camera only strategy for Autopilot and FSD is now landing in Europe and the Middle East. So Tesla has had radar in their vehicles in the past, and those first came out of the 3 in the US and later out of the refreshed Model S and X. And now vehicles going to other countries, Europe and the Middle East, are going to be camera-based pure vision approach only starting this month.
Oh. And then
Yep.
anybody in the beta, they turn your radar off. So after my car was repaired, it was listing a little to the right for the first like 5 miles.
Had to recalibrate.
It did, and it came back like after that, like the dancing lines. Remember, I'm on an old, like over a month old version of the beta, and the dancing lines were no longer dancing, and then like the other lane, like the oncoming lane, like when it's divided, would usually be a little bit fuzzy, like because it's not sure what's over there. It was very sure of what was in the other lane.
Awesome. Yeah. So I mean, cameras. We have put a lot of decades of research into digital cameras. Certainly, our most advanced sensor that we've developed technologically compared to radar and lidar and others. That sure they're being worked on, and you know those sensors are available, but not to the level that cameras are, because every one of our little mobile devices has these in here, and yeah, exactly, or more than one. Look at how many that they have there. Yeah,
it's like a spider.
In fact, we restrict them to just the visible spectrum, but by default, they include infrared, and so now,
and UV.
Yeah, you can take these filters out and use the entire spectrum that they can sense and see better than a human, and have 8 of them, 3 forward looking at different focal ranges, eyes in the back of your head. So the other story that goes along with this is also from Teslarati, and it's titled Toyota adopts Tesla's camera-only approach to self-driving development. Yes. So Toyota has a subsidiary called Woven Planet, and they're going to utilize this camera-only approach for their self-driving project, joining Tesla and other companies in vision-only strategies to advance itself in the race to autonomous driving. Woven Planet said it can use low-cost cameras to collect data and train a self-driving system utilizing a neural network, much like Tesla. So I thought that was interesting that you know, when Tesla first did this, there was all this, oh, you're crazy. No one else is doing it this way. That's obviously horrible, and you're just creating a dangerous situation. And now we're seeing that some other people are realizing maybe that wasn't crazy. Maybe sensor fusion causes confusion, and then you don't know which sensor to trust. And if you have to pick one to trust anyway, why not pick the better one to trust? And then if it can do so much more than lidar or radar, then that's the one to go with. And
cheaper and lower power.
Yeah, and yeah, better sensing. You can see another car's turn signal with camera. You can't do that with lidar. There's the resolution is much higher. There's all kinds of advantages that cameras have because we've spent so much other technology. Other markets have driven it. This is much like batteries, right?
Yeah.
The batteries that are in cars today weren't developed for cars.
No.
They were developed for our other mobile devices, and the chemistry got so good that it could eventually do this. And so trying to have the auto industry alone drive a technology, you're at a huge disadvantage.
Yeah. And you brought up a good point about the resolution. People were saying, "Oh, they're only 720p, blah blah blah." The 720p is thousands of times, well, not thousands, but you know, hundreds of times better than the resolution they were getting from radar, and it's still probably better than what they could get from an affordable lidar system. Yes, lidar can go higher, but you're looking still at tens of thousands of dollars for a really good one.
Exactly. Yeah. So I just thought this was a cool, like, you know, first they laugh at you, and then they're copying you.
But it's Toyota because they actually have the money to be able to do this and the engineering background. I'm curious how long it takes them to catch up because they're starting from scratch here. And
Right, but they can get Tesla systems, tear them down, figure out what they're doing. They can use a lot of that to kickstart themselves.
Yeah.
And
Uh,
Tesla's open source their patents. They've talked
exactly.
about how they're doing sensor emulation, so you can use a camera to emulate distance and figure out through neural network processing data that you would only normally be able to get through more advanced, more expensive sensors.
Right.
That's all public information now.
Yeah, and a lot of the chips are built and designed right there in Japan, so they have a slight advantage in this catch-up game. And unlike a lot of the other legacy OEMs, they're not hemorrhaging money. They're not at risk of going out of business anytime soon. So uh, they might be the next one to pull this off.
Unless Tesla keeps out selling Camrys, and then maybe they will be hemorrhaging money soon.
Right, but again, comparing them to all the other fossils out there, they're in the kings. They're on the
Yeah,
top of the hill. Yeah.
right. Yeah. I mean, some of us. Mark, did you ever have a Prius? I know Kacey, you had one. Uh, did you ever drive a Prius, Mark? Oh, I can't hear you.
It was a thumbs up or a
Anyway,
thumbs down on the Prius. Whether you had one or not whether or not it's a good car. don't want to upset anybody.
yes,
He had one.
yeah,
There
right,
we go.
yeah. They were one of the Prius was the alternative fuel vehicle of choice for a lot of us because that was like the only one. There was the Honda Insight or maybe some others, but the Prius was the one that was really popular. And if Toyota would have continued down that path and had plug-in hybrids and EVs already, that would have shut the market out for a company like Tesla.
It would
But
have.
they didn't. They sat on their laurels and they did not advance the ball. And now they're playing catch up technologically. And like you said, I mean, their volumes are still huge, and they still get a pile of cash, so they can maybe this was part of their strategy was well, let's wait until battery tech has been proven out by somebody else, and then we're not taking those risks, and then we can jump in when it goes mass market. Well, that
Buy it out.
mass market time is happening right now. We're seeing EV interest as the price of gas spiked due to the happenings in Ukraine. That interest in EVs is at an all-time high, and
Even
as
makes it
fast as
say,
they're being made, they can be sold.
yeah, even makes it say, oh, we're never doing electric, never doing hybrid, blah blah blah. All of a sudden, they're going electric by 2040, and not
Right?
just because it's the law, because they could easily sell their handful of cars in the countries that didn't have the law, and have been fine. And then David brings up a really good point about the training data. Tesla has been collecting this data since 2014, and they have themselves a gigantic head start. You might even be able to call it a moat.
Yes, they do have a huge technological advantage, and data is so important to this. And everybody, this 60 so thousand, more than that now, people that are in the beta, whenever something goes wrong, they get video clips, whatever it is, 10, 15, 20 seconds from all the cameras. What happened? Let's put that into an edge case. Let's put that into our training set. Next version hopefully fixes it. And I had a weird one today. Um, uh, just going straight down a road, coming to an intersection. My light is green. The car gets over into the turn lane. I'm like, well, you're supposed to go straight.
Yeah,
And there was a car sitting there in the turn lane. And then after it sat there for a couple seconds, I was thinking about correcting it. I'm like, I just want to see what it does because there was nobody behind me. And then it got back in the lane. And then as it's like halfway into the lane, the forward collision alert goes off when there's nothing in front of me. So I took over and hit the little button and then put it back in, and everything was fine. And there was never any danger, but it was just some weird behavior. And I'm not sure what made it think like, did it think that was a straight lane and there was a car there? And anyway, now they'll be able to analyze that and say, okay, no, don't do the wrong thing. Here's what the right thing, and train the neural net to do the right thing in that case. And it'll be better for everybody else.
had a couple of good experiences with it this week. So remember, again, mine is months old. There was a car that was just tooling along at a glacial pace. It wasn't nowhere near the speed limit, and my turn was coming up, and the car did what I would have done. It moved over, passed the fool, come back, and then made the turn.
Smart. Yeah.
Yes, and then another one was a pedestrian just popped out of nowhere, a jaywalker, and I was ready to take over, but before I could move my foot, it had already started to slow down gracefully. I was
Awesome.
prepared to take over more aggressively because I knew how long it took my foot to move. But while I was moving it, it was doing the right thing. And then there were a couple of cases where it always messes up a particular turn or does something wrong. And a couple of those, it did the right thing once or twice and then went back to doing the wrong thing. But clearly, something happened on the server end. Even though I didn't get the new software, something came back to my car. It's downloading gigabytes a day, uploading gigabytes a day. So there's something in there. And that made me feel good about I'm like always submitting these things, but like if I'm months old, is it worth the effort? Apparently, yes, it is. Still keep submitting those reports, even if you're on an old build.
See what you're missing out on, Mark? You should have this FSD stuff. It's fun.
I hear it just got to Canada.
That's right. Yes. I'm sure there are some other people in the Waterloo region that are enjoying having it in your club there.
Yes. In fact, you guys get priority. Like the people in the U.S. aren't really getting new members in, but some of the Canadians that were get their perfect hundreds and the 99s, they're making their way in.
Right. I saw somebody on Twitter complaining about that. They're like, "Hey, I've had 100 for a week now. How come I haven't got it?" And then there was a chart of of new admissions to the program. I'm not sure how they were getting this data, but it showed that it was all the recent additions were from Canada.
Nice.
And it makes sense. They don't want to admit too many people until they can digest all the input, and so it's too bad. Yeah,
like the trolley that Mark was talking about last week. That's a really interesting edge case.
Right. Yeah, Toronto with their light rail system. Yeah. And we've all seen the problems that it's had in Seattle with
pylons.
Yeah, and that weird they have a lane that has just it's holding up some elevated train or something, and so this is why it's going to take a long time and a lot of data to get through all these edge cases. And in the normal case, it's usually great, but there are edge cases everywhere, weird intersections, weird roads, different conventions in different areas. There was one, somebody was talking about how in their part of the country, when it snows on the roads that are less traveled, everybody just drives down the middle. And then if somebody's coming, then you guys slowly pass each other on your lane, but then you go back to driving in the middle. But Autopilot wasn't doing that. It was trying to drive in its lane on the right side of the road because that seems pretty reasonable. But if that's they only plow the center and that's the only safe place to drive, then it's going to need to learn that behavior and change for that region because that's what's normal there.
Exactly. Yes, Derek.
Yeah, definitely the Wi-Fi is giving me a problem. Indeed.
So I found an interesting picture while I was browsing the interwebs today. And so this is the Tesla Fremont track. And that is not a Tesla there. What?
Yeah.
This is coming from Drive Tesla Canada.
Lucid.
It is a Lucid Air. So it looks like they're benchmarking it on their own track. So like the other day we saw a Model S being benchmarked, Model S Plaid being benchmarked by GM. And now we see Tesla is just scoping out the Lucid Air just to kind of see what the competition's up to. Somebody pointed out that I didn't realize this, and the thought didn't even cross my mind, that GM might have been benchmarking not the Plaid against their trucks, but the FSD Beta versus the GM Super Cruise. Well, what's the other one? Ultra Cruise.
Ah.
Yeah. So that was pretty cool.
Yeah, and this is exactly what we want to see.
Yeah.
We want competition, right?
Exactly.
Plaid came out arguably in direct response to which vehicle was it? The Porsche Taycan.
Yes.
And how it was kicking butt on the Nürburgring. And and back then, the Model S had some issues where if you pushed it really hard on a track like that, that it could overheat, and then the second time you'd be thermally limited. And so now the Palladium project solved all of that. And now the Plaid vehicles kick ass on the Nürburgring. So here's one where the Lucid Air has more range. Musk tweeted that Tesla could have made a 600-mile vehicle, but you lose handling and have other. The cost would be high, and so they chose not to. But maybe there's a market for that, and maybe they'll come out with a vehicle that is an extended range and not just the long range.
Right.
And it won't have as good of a 0 to 60 or handling properties, maybe, but if you need that much range for whatever your needs are, and you're willing to pay for it, so after they finish this analysis, maybe they'll make some changes to their roadmap. We'll see.
Perhaps. And then we also noticed that the Lucid Air has more power than the Model S Plaid, but yet it still loses on drag races. So maybe there's
hauling more
other
battery.
lessons we learned there. Exactly.
Yeah.
So I've got some bad news before Patrick gives us some more good news. So over in France, Starlink was approved previously, and well, some environmental groups have objected. They said that these two environmental organizations said that there was no public consultation before the approval was given. Starlink was given 2 frequencies in France, and the court said that since the service could impact the market access to high bandwidth internet and affect the interests of users, public consultations were required by law. And this just feels to me like some more of the incumbent shenanigans that we see in the other Musk companies as they go into new markets. And when you look at what Starlink does, how tight the beam is, and the fact that they're asking for 2 frequencies and they were unused in France, it just doesn't feel right. I mean, I do agree with doing it the right way. Make sure you do hold the public hearings, but maybe it was like a COVID lock or something why they didn't have it.
It'll be interesting to see if it does get reinstated or not.
Hopefully it does, yeah. Because I know there's got to be farmers in France that have crappy internet.
Right. And if it's an environmental group, why are they? This doesn't seem like some of the environmental groups that had concerns in Germany. That kind of made sense.
A little
bit. Yeah.
At least there was something physical to object to.
Right. I mean, we argued that some of them might have been AstroTurf groups, and maybe that's the case here too. I haven't looked into it. I don't know them, but
what if they're the same ones?
Yeah, that would be interesting to see who funds these groups.
Right.
That was
exactly, David. Where is the environment impacted with this?
Right. Would you rather have them trenching fiber and cutting through forests to run these cables, or would you rather that they just point a dish at the sky and not take out owl habitat to get internet run?
Right.
This
so it points out that the rural areas must really love this. And then also, that's a good point, that Starlink is less impactful than 5G as far as, because 5G is just blasting out all the time, whereas the Starlink is pointed straight up and it's kind of really low wattage.
Right. Yes.
We need to follow this one for later. I'm curious.
Right. Yeah.
Exactly.
Like Mark said, we will definitely be following this to see how it plays out.
Definitely. And so then you had you showed us a photo.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. So the final story that I brought today, and we've kind of touched on this already some. So this is you're gonna share it here. So this is from Teslarati, and just these are some vehicles that Tesla has ready to go for tomorrow's event. They've got them under wraps, and yeah, there's 2 of them that are pretty obviously Cybertrucks. And
look how big they are compared to even the Semi. Like,
right,
they are substantial.
Cybertruck
that of the Semi is pushed all the way back,
not
which it doesn't look like
vehicle.
It's next to the X. Look how big it is compared to the X. The X looks like a toy next to the Semi, and wow.
Yeah, under the gray tarp there, that looks like a Roadster.
Yeah, a new one.
Yeah, I don't know if it's
because they're about done with the original, aren't they? They don't even repair them. And then
but having some out,
like
if they had something talking about like the history of Tesla, and they could have, it could be either.
It's too big to be the original. The original is tiny.
It looks
this one in the blue.
Yeah, the original looks like a Matchbox car.
Yeah. Yeah. This one in blue looks like it might be the like the how they always, well, not always, but how these manufacturers and engineers always have ones like got the cutaway demo. That looks like that one might be that.
Oh yeah. I was wondering what all those colors on the side are. Yeah.
That or it's graffiti, like in Berlin.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm really curious what's going to be unveiled tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yeah, because there's several vehicles in that photo. There's
Event tomorrow starts at 4 p.m. Texas time and runs till midnight. So you can expect certainly some tweets as we start getting some information of people on site and checking out the exhibits that Tesla has been setting up at Texas for the last week.
right. If you're there and you take some cool photos or whatever, tweet it at us at the Tesla Life on Twitter. That would be cool.
So Google Wapandi points out
Absolutely.
that the French rockets. What happened was Bezos came through and bid on all the available rockets that were not named SpaceX, and
Right.
tied up the market. So they already had locked down a whole series of rockets and weren't sharing with anybody. Like people were trying to ask him, "Hey, can we give you this much to let one or two of them go?" They expanded it. So the Kuiper project and other Bezos enterprises now are using up all the other non-SpaceX, non-Blue Origin rockets because Blue Origin hasn't built an engine yet. And so space is getting really competitive if you're a SpaceX competitor, especially when you look at some of the other options would use Ukrainian and Russian built engines. So like the engine would be built in one place and the bell would be built in the other, and the two places that build your engine are fighting right now. Kind of hard to get what you need from them. There was another case where the rocket body was built
Not
in
much
Ukraine.
tech support there.
Right. I've got a piece of art software I use for my photos, and they're like, sorry guys, sorry this is taking so long. We're in Ukraine. There's a little bit of current events going on right now. And I'm like, dudes, get it when you get it. You got more important things to do than make my pictures look pretty.
You are a reasonable person.
Absolutely.
You're probably like one of the few.
Right.
Uh,
Yeah. And let's see. Expensive way to catch up to Starlink. Absolutely, Hockey Day.
right. Yeah. So it makes sense to put the satellites up when you have your own rocket. But
Yeah.
buying everybody else's is going to be so expensive.
Absolutely.
SpaceX has a massive price advantage there when they are using their own stuff.
That's for sure.
They've already done 12 launches this
Yeah.
year. Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah,
They
so-
said they had 60, so more than one a week is planned for the year.
Wow.
Yeah. In fact, they've got one going up Friday. Now, that one's a crew vehicle, isn't it?
Wow.
Yeah.
Yes, another crew vehicle. When do you think Starship will start deploying satellites?
That's another story we didn't bring to the table. So they are done building Crew Dragon. There are no more new Crew Dragons planned right now. They're only going to refurbish the existing ones. And so it's looking like probably a month or two to get the environmental review done for Texas, and then they can go ahead and start launching the test articles for Starship. And the fact that they've canceled building the new Crew Dragon shows a little bit of confidence, doesn't it? Because they built
Right.
6, and there's 4 in service still. It's incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah. Timothy
Well,
says hello.
Musk never puts pressure on people to get things done.
Oh no,
ever,
never.
Right?
He would never do that.
Right? So yeah,
Yeah.
having those deadlines pushes people to deliver. SLS slowly launches.
They could be, because right now there was a photo of 2 crew vehicles on the pad in Canaveral. One is SLS and one is Crew Dragon. That hasn't been done in over 13 years. I think they were probably both shuttles back then.
Yeah.
Has SLS actually launched? I haven't been following it, but
I don't
I know
think
they had
so.
delay after delay after delay.
Nope.
Yeah, they had their wet dress rehearsal last week or
Nope.
this week,
Hasn't launched yet.
right? And then the Orion capsule they were first to get their test flight up, but they failed it miserably. And then another time they tried to go up to redo their test, and then that one failed checkouts, and it's been a bit disappointing watching them. And then Hockey says Crew Friday shortly after the ISS launch. All right, Sweet.
American Broomstick.
That's right. That was still pretty cool when they called that out on the launch. They said that's what American Broomstick can do.
Yes, that was. All right, do we have any more stories today?
Absolutely.
Or
Actually, yes.
okay,
So,
because we're getting near the end here of their hour.
that we are. Unlike my show, we're not going to run on for hours and hours. We're going to stick to our deadline. My show, I go until the stories are done. This show, we go until the time is done. So on 2022.8.3 Tesla updates, we're looking at a couple of interesting updates that came that I wanted to kind of go over and engage you guys' feelings on. So they've got more accurate charge time estimation by taking into account the battery pack's temperature while you're charging at a supercharger or DC fast charger of another non-Tesla.
That is very cool. And getting those estimates right gives you just more confidence for the whole trip. When you're on a road trip, getting range estimates right, getting charging time estimates right.
Yes, especially you don't want to end up getting slower and slower behind schedule unless it was something like sudden traffic. You don't want it to be because the thing lied to you about how much time it was going to take, even if it was inadvertent. Another one that I really appreciate because of the way that my wife and I load our vehicle.
Guys, I have to say with the actual charging on the road, it is so easy. It is so quick that you're not done going to the washroom and getting a drink before your car is already prompting you in the restaurant that it's ready or it's about to be ready.
You don't move, Elon's going to charge you $1.
Idle fees coming at you.
Yes.
It is such a smooth way to operate. Like it's incredible. Again, on this trip, I've just experienced it again today. That it's so easy. There's no thinking involved. You just tell it where you want to go, and it lays the trip out perfectly. It keeps to the proper times, and it lets you know when you're going to arrive, what state of charge you will have when you arrive, and you can make adjustments as you see fit. But typically, you don't have to do anything. It's that smooth.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's one of their many big advantages right now is that this can be your only vehicle because you can do road trips with it. You can. A lot of EVs are great for commuter vehicles, running errands, and that's awesome if that's your use case. I encourage you to get a vehicle for that. But if you also want to be able to do road trips, the other networks are just not as good yet. I mean, they're working on them, and I hope they get better. And I want everybody to drive an EV. And they don't all have to drive Teslas. You can drive whatever EV you want.
Exactly.
But right now, if there's a lot of people. We were just talking about how interest in EVs has shot up, and Tesla's the one that I'm recommending. And they're like, oh, but they're expensive, and I'm like, well, yeah, but you don't have to pay this and that and the other thing, and you can, it's there's, in my opinion, the best solution for most people right now is a Tesla.
Absolutely. So then the next one that is pretty helpful for the way that my wife and I load our car is we precondition the car, and then we load it up, and as soon as you open the door and then close it, it would previously just turn the air back off. So now you get into a hot or cold car. When now what's going to happen is it'll give you up to 30 minutes after you've preconditioned it and opened a door that it will keep preconditioning the car while you load it up, which is nice.
Yeah, so this especially, we just took a ski trip in February. And so I would start the preconditioning that morning, and then I have to, load bags in there and skis in there, and it would keep shutting it off. So this is an awesome feature, and I'm glad they finally did it.
Yeah, and then the next one coming up is the active phone calls. You'll now be able to hide the phone call card. So if you are on like a conference call or something, and it's going to be a long one, you don't want that hanging out there. You can just swipe it away, which is nice. Mark is dead on.
It covered some things, right? Like it might have so if it's in the way and blocking the camera view for when you're doing a turn, it pops up that. So this is another smart one.
Absolutely. David says Mark is dead on. Superchargers are miles ahead of the other systems, especially in that user experience. Mm-hmm. And then Derek asks, are we able to view dashcam video on the screen? Yeah, but I don't know if they fix the bug where it doesn't always work. A ton of California agree with you, Patrick. And let's see. So the active phone calls on the S and X will now be displayed in the status bar at the top of the touchscreen. That's nice because on the S and X with the vertical screen, it's a bit of a reach sometimes. if you're trying to keep your eyes on the road.
First world problem. My screen
Right?
is so big, I have to reach weight.
Right. Well, I mean, I'm looking at it from the safety angle because you don't
I
want to take your
know.
eyes off the road.
I'm just having some fun with you.
If you speak and read Czech, that is now an option on this version for SX3 and Y. The boombox features are now only available when parked, so this one is if you're on the beta, they caught that up to everybody to comply with that recall that was done by the fun haters.
The fun police.
Exactly. Hey, it's not making it like actually they were more than compliant because they actually made noise in reverse and in forward, and now everybody else only makes it in reverse. It's interesting. Autopilot speed indicator. So now when you're messing with the speed from the scroll wheel, you actually get a little indicator arrow saying up or down right there, so you can be sure if you accidentally brushed it, take a quick glance to see if anything changed. Because that could be important if you just gave it a good old swipe and you were trying to get the volume and you accidentally slowed or sped up the car. That could be a ticket.
On that scroll wheel, I've noticed with FSD, if I lower the speed, it doesn't always slow down like it did in just Autopilot.
It will eventually. I also noticed that if it chooses to slow down, say it saw a speed sign and it's like, I'm going this fast now, it's instant. But if we ask it, it's more like a request. If you don't mind, at some point, could you get down maybe another 10 miles an hour, please? I think that they should, like, if you've gone more than 5 or 10 miles an hour from what it's trying to do, they should treat it like the speed limit just changed on its own.
Yeah. It should act the same way that Autopilot does.
Yes.
Especially if, like, I'm looking ahead and I see a red light in vehicles. Okay, well, if I slow down 10 miles an hour now, then I'll be able to get there when it gets red and just go right on through, and I can time that. But it's just like, I'm going to go the speed limit until I get there, and then I'm going to stop, and then I'm going to go. Well, no, I'd rather not do that. Just slow down a little bit now, but it won't let me.
Exactly. And then this other one here, faster backup camera, was actually a recall. I mentioned this, I don't know if I mentioned it here or on my show, but either way, I woke up to an email from the government that there was a potential recall on the cars. And what it said, and I looked, and my car actually was in the potentially included, which doesn't always happen. And what it is on some of the latest updates on version 11, the backup camera doesn't come on fast enough to be in compliance. And so now Tesla's made some changes to make sure when you pop it in reverse, that app gets priority and pops up faster on the screen, so they are compliant again. But again, that was another one of those ones where the government said, why didn't you just turn your head if the camera doesn't work? I love it when even the government has to give you a practical response rather than just, the sky is falling.
Yeah. This was definitely a problem on our car before we got the computer upgrade.
Same.
It would take seconds after going in reverse. We would have the boxes would be the black or pink.
Yes.
Yeah, and then eventually the cameras would come up. So yeah, exactly. I'm glad that's fixed.
Me too. Because the whole reason it's there is the reason it's a requirement is a couple senators ran over their grandchildren, and that's not the only reason. Teslas. Not in Teslas, but in other cars, and this has been happening all around a lot. But what prompted it to get some more focus was that when it actually affected the legislators, and that's when this is real. We should do something about it, and so they did. The last final thing isn't really documented, but it further gets you ready for the cloud profiles. So if you're in a loaner, like I was the other day when my camera was getting camera cables were getting worked on, perhaps my car would have moved over my driver profile, the mirrors, the radio, and all of that. That would have been nice. Definitely. And that's what we've got today.
Very cool.
It doesn't even have to be cloud. It could just be in your app, and then whatever car you attach your phone to, but whatever. Yeah, this is a cool feature, and I'm glad they're working on it. And it'll be great for the rentals if you can just hop into a Hertz and it knows all your favorites and has all your favorite podcasts, like the Tesla Life, there,
right there on TuneIn.
Okay, well, this has been a great show. We're over time, so Mark, before you lose Wi-Fi again, what would you like to plug?
It's like talking to Mark with
if you haven't
news.
Already, if you haven't already, please follow us on our Twitter feed at the Tesla Life, as well as our Facebook feed, the Tesla Life #1, and we will update tomorrow as the big event happens, and we're looking forward to what answers we get. And I certainly want to thank Patrick and Kacey for running the show today while I'm out remotely. And really appreciate you guys' help, and we will be back to normal next.
We'll be ready for it. You're going to have some pictures and reports for us, for sure.
All right, Kacey, what's going on with you?
So, as I mentioned, I did a Rivian delivery video, so you can check that out at youtube.com/Kacey Green. That's KACEYGREEN. And I found out that the noise stunner that I use here on the show now, I can pipe my audio through that. So we may have a solution to the lithium battery video, so it's not too far off from the vision versus what it was looking like before. So hopefully you'll check that out. And Patrick's going to tell us about some Fs.
No, that's right. Yes. So we are here enjoying the Tesla life, trying to expand the Tesla life so that we want to bring around a future free from fossil fuels. We want to go beyond oil. And
Beyond oil!
Texas is oil country. And tomorrow, a little bit of it will go beyond oil, which is why I'm wearing this shirt today. So, hey, I hope you all enjoyed our show. And join us. All this week we'll be posting all news on our Facebook and Twitter feeds. I'd like to thank Lee Moon for our theme music, which you can start now. And tune in next week. Join us to find out what's going on in the Tesla life. Stay positive, test negative,